Hello. Okay, this is part five. I think it's part five of my metabolism series, and I think this should wrap it up. The last question that I had addressing this topic area. Part one, I talked about the foundations of health and fitness, set us up to understand our metabolism a little bit more. Part two talked about answering the question, is my metabolism broken? Part three, is starvation mode a thing? Part four, are my hormones out of whack? Part five, why can't I lose the last 10 pounds? And this is part five, the last question in this series that I have. So this is what I wrote, and then we'll talk. Getting lean is a job. In a society where highly palatable food is widely acceptable, so really good food, really good tasting food is easy to get. Losing the last 10 pounds, these last 10 pounds is going to be the most difficult part than probably any of the weight that you lost prior to that. So here's the thing, okay? These are the questions you need to ask yourself when we talk about weight and we talk about the last 10 pounds. How lean do you want to be? Okay? And then how bad do you want to be that lean? Do you want ab definition? Do you want leg definition? Genetics can also play a role in where fat is lost and what areas you lose it from first and where you lose it last. And many mentors of mine have shared that losing the last 10 pounds is not what it's all cracked up to be. Now, I believe you should take all of that with a grain of salt, because I've had the same ones say things that, I was like, oh yeah, not that I didn't believe it, but it was more, well, that works for him, but that doesn't work for me. And so thinking about where your priorities are, and the time that you have to dedicate to them, because you're not going to be able to do it all. And when you start crossing this line to getting to put more muscle on, to training more at the gym, to prepping food, there's definitely a line where it's going to get crossed, and it's going to be very challenging to do all of that unless you have time and energy to plan all of that. And to be quite frank, not everyone is going to have that. Now, is that a reason for everyone to just be overweight and unhealthy? No. But I think a lot of times we chase these aesthetic goals. We want to look like we have this thing in our head, like, oh, that's what I want to look like. That's what I want to have. And I'm not healthy enough until I get there. And the older I get, the more mature I get, I understand how much of social media is truly smoke and mirrors. And that's why even talking about the supplement stuff, the extra stuff people do, I appreciate so much when you have real, authentic influencers who are actually sharing what their bodies look like in different lighting and different angles. Because people who have been in this game much longer than I have been in this game. I mean, it was like 3 years ago when I figured out that most athletes and people who do bodybuilding are not natural. What? What do you mean? I thought that was I just had no idea. So all that to say, I'm not trying to bot people for doing that. What I'm saying is, chasing a goal that you see on Instagram is sometimes just not reality. However, I am living proof that you can be proud of the body that you're in. And this is going to turn into probably the precursor to another series that I would love to dive more in and write more about. But it's the mental game of being fit and being healthy. It's come out to, and I haven't looked at this article yet, but that there's a lot of a very high rate of eating disorders in this fitness space. And that's what's hard with everything. Sorry, I think my computer's no, it's fine. That's what's hard with all of this, because the hardest, because we as humans are conditioned to think that our bodies need to look a certain way, and then that's the picture of health. And I've seen one influencer just recently, and I messaged her thanking her for her message, because literally she was in a low calorie deficit, just chasing that look of leanness, of the abs, the definition. However, she wasn't building any muscle, and she was sabotaging herself because she was eating so low of calories that, yes, she had a lean body mass, but the muscle, and we know that you get lean enough, it does look like you have muscles, because that's what's going to show when you, like, everyone has a six-pack ab. Everyone has that. Like, we all have it. It's just how lean do you get for it to show. But if you're trying to build more muscle to help you so you can eat a little bit more and not spend as much time in the gym, like, that's where we want to get to. But in the process of that, we lose it, because we start seeing weight gain. We start seeing, in our mind, a little fluffiness. And then you retreat, and you're not going to do that anymore because you don't like how you're looking. And then you end up eating less and less and less. And it's just, it messes with your mind. Anyways, that was a lot. My point is, though, that, and I've said this in other videos and other stories, yes, we want to look good. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, I don't want to look good in a swimsuit. Like, yeah, I want to look good. Like, I want to feel good. I want to feel good about my body. But if that's what you're chasing, it's kind of empty, to be honest. It just is. And if that's all you're chasing, you're going to get there, and it's just like, okay, now what? It's kind of like when you hear about someone who had this really lofty goal of, like, earning a lot of money. Like, they wanted to be a millionaire so bad. And then they get there and they work hard, and then they get there and they're like, okay, now what? Like, it's like this buildup of, like, when you get there, you're like, I've made it. But then the thing is, it's like, it's the challenge that really, the challenge and the strife of going through that process was really the thing that was rewarding, not actually getting it. And I'm not saying, you get to buy the dream car or the dream house or whatever it is, and that's not rewarding. But you're like, you get there and you're like, okay, now what? All that to say, and I've recommended this before, you need to focus on a skill. You need to focus on a challenge, something, because that keeps you engaged. And you don't worry about these last 10 pounds, because what ends up happening is you focus on the skill, you focus on getting stronger. It happens. And even if it doesn't happen, your body composition has changed. So it looks like you lost 10 pounds. You didn't actually lose 10 pounds because maybe you gained more muscle. And here we are. And you've gained a new skill. And that's been very eye-opening for me, especially this last year, because it's like in my mind, I've even put like aside the skill, and I'll be like, okay, I'm not going to stress about it. But with the training that I've done, it's like her programming will work on these skills. And it's not even like you're doing it every day. Like you might do it once a week. And then over time, you try the skill and you're like, oh, I can do that. That's happened with me getting better at handstands. I've never tried to do a handstand, probably middle school. I mean, honestly. And then now this past year, I've been trying to do handstands, and I can do pretty well up on a wall. I can't do like but I'm like freestanding, but I'm like, that's pretty good for someone who literally has never done, like I didn't do like gymnastics or cheerleading or anything like that. And anyways, and then the other thing are these little, when you're kneeling on the floor and then being able to jump up into a squat. I tried that like 6 months ago and I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to get there. And then I tried it the other day and I just did it. I was like, what? And that's probably a big testament to her training. So I don't want to shortchange that. But in the grand scheme of things, you're doing these little things every day and they add up to be big things. And I think sometimes we get stuck in like laser focus too much, and if we aren't doing it exactly how we think we should be doing it, it's not even worth it. And I'll tell you, this last year has taught me more that those 5-10 minutes of being intentional with your time and doing it adds up a lot. It just does. So long story short, why can't you lose the last 10 pounds? I don't know why you can't lose the last 10 pounds, to be honest. Okay. It's so individual. But sometimes we maybe don't need to worry about the last 10 pounds. Sometimes we might need to change our focus onto something else and not the last 10 pounds. That's the moral of that story.